On today's podcast, we're speaking to a young, bright thing. They've started a business from scratch and they're doing okay. They've got massive passion and vision, but it's just going into the wrong stuff. What they need is brilliant brain food, because I think this entrepreneur could be super successful if only they started doing the right thing. Will they listen to the medicine I'm about to prescribe? Take a watch.
Hello, gang. Welcome, campus. Of course, say hello, campus.
Hello, campus. Keep consistent for John.
Yeah. Hello, campus. Welcome back to the Keep Consistent for John. I love that. We'll explain in a minute. Welcome back to the business broadcast. Me and JB are back. How you doing, mate?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah. So you're swapping fashion for comfort there today.
That's a record, though. That's a record. Let's have a look. What time did we get together today? We got together at 11:50.
Nice little next number he's got there.
3 hours later.
We know it's
a Fracklewick. We don't have to check your label, do we, today? It's a Fracklewick. 3 hours before you've done online bullying today. So that's a record for you.
Right. Oh, well, if you want to come in dressed like a pile of turd, we'll have you on the show. You look like the poo emoji. Welcome back to the. If you're watching here, see, this is why you need to be. If you're listening on the podcast, you need to get on over to YouTube. And unfortunately, we're filming back to back, so we're going to see that awful top for 5 back to back episodes.
Oh, never mind.
I wanted to just quickly talk about power of platforms before we speak to our guest today.
Okay.
I was watching. Who was it? I was listening back to one of our old episodes about the teacher that had written some books. Wrote some books?
Yes.
Written or wrote? What do you say?
Written
some books. And we got speaking about the guy that created Pointless.
Yes, Richard Osman.
You mentioned him, and I said, I don't know who that is. And then you said, we host The Rest is Entertainment, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
He's just brilliant. And there's some actually really good business lessons on there, because they talk about the business of
entertainment,
the entertainment industry. And he was talking about, I think you are living under a rock if you haven't heard about someone talking about The Gentleman, the new Netflix show.
Yeah.
You must have.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, I've completed it now.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Some Guy Ritchie he's done it again, although they're all very similar, but
you know what you're getting in for, though, don't you?
Yeah. It's just his ability to create characters. Forget the storytelling.
Yeah.
It's the characters that I think Guy Ritchie is really where he is 5-star. Because you know he's going to have a good story.
Yeah. But you always know you can have like north and south. Yeah. You can have posh and rough.
Yeah.
There's going to be a combination of the two together. Violence that you don't really need to see, but you enjoy it while you're watching
it. You fall in love with characters that go around killing people. And like you would never like them in real life.
No, that's it.
Anyway, and he then said something. Anyway, so Richard, he was talking about the top 3 shows on Netflix at the moment. So Gentleman's up there, number 1. I can't bloody think of what the third one was, but the second one, Richard said something, and I thought no one's going to pick up on this, but I did. They bought an old show from ITV with Sheridan Smith in it.
Oh, okay.
Called The Cleaner or something like that.
That's right, yeah.
It's number 2 on Netflix. It's
a gambling addict, isn't she, or something?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But it's number 2 on Netflix in the United Kingdom and Europe. He said Netflix would have bought that show and all the rights for about £40,000.
No.
So
really?
How much would they have paid Guy Ritchie to make The Gentleman? I mean, big money.
It's got to be 20, 30. That production's got to be a 20, 30 million quid, isn't it? It's
close to making a film.
Yeah.
If not more.
It's
more, because it's 8
episodes of a film for an hour. Yeah.
So I would say it's a lot more than 30 million.
Do you reckon?
You've got some big actors in there, haven't you? And shoots. You've got Vinnie Jones in there.
Vinnie Jones, Ray Winston.
Ray Winston, way more. I was going to check it out now. Anyway, the thing ITV saw that as trash. And as they say on the podcast, James Burt and James Sinclair, we have variations of the same. I've
lost you now, haven't I?
Yeah, because I was reading what over my shoulder. I said, we have variations of the same analogies. And I said, wherever there's trash, there's cash. Or someone's trash is someone else's cash.
And I say, where there's muck, there's brass.
That's it. That was the one. So ITV, 40 grand.
And what
they've got the number 2 show on Netflix. All them $8.99 or whatever it costs, $10.99 to pay into Netflix, and they're probably showing that in America as well. So what the leverage of £40,000 Netflix has had out of that?
And how much must that have cost? Because Sheridan Smith is probably going out of 50 grand a day. So if she's on a...
But it's 7 years old. That's what's really impressive about it.
Oh,
so
is it?
ITV showed it 7 years ago. They, used it, got what they wanted out of it.
No, really?
So yeah, it's a 7-year-old show that's completely
second-hand
done.
program. It's like car boot programming.
Yeah, it's a car boot. That's a brilliant. I was about to say it's like buying an old Monopoly set in a charity shop, but yes, same analogy, different way of saying it. They've taken that 40 grand and
that's unreal, isn't it?
I just thought that is entrepreneurialism, if I've never known it, where you can see an opportunity.
Yeah.
Netflix could just keep doing that, couldn't they?
The power platform as well. I think this was really interesting because a lot of, if you listen now, like Chris Evans, I love Chris Evans. I think he's one of the best broadcasters we've ever had.
Absolutely, I would agree.
TFI Friday is now about to go to Netflix.
Wow, so they're going to start doing
TFI Friday on Netflix. They had a meeting this week about what the next evolution of it looks like. And Chris Evans said, we've just joined the Netflix family. But he doesn't refer to it as, he refers to it as like not really TV. So not really TV, it's like streaming on demand. It's in this like weird space at the moment. Like YouTube isn't really a website, but it sort of is a website.
Yes, yes.
So what you've got there, Sheridan Smith's program, if ITV reran it at 9 o'clock every day for a week, they still would not get the same audience as Netflix.
Exactly, that's what I was saying.
Platform.
Yeah, because of the platform. And I was thinking, what's the message for business owners and entrepreneurs? Because we had someone, that same teacher, she wanted a TV show, because I re-listened to the episode on the way into to work today to do this for you. And we said to her, you don't want a TV show, you want to be a YouTube series. Because that is the platform.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can have full control over it. But it's interesting.
I think we've talked about it before, haven't we? That still that old form media and medium has legacy leverage at the moment. You've talked with Daniel Priestley about...
But do you not put Netflix into that?
I would with Netflix, yeah.
Well, let me ask you, would you rather this business broadcast be on the BBC, ITV, or Netflix?
Netflix.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, Netflix.
Yeah.
But that's a weird one, because I still see it as TV. I still see Netflix and BBC. I see it through the device that I see it through, if that makes sense. Whereas if you look at, for example... I've spoken about it before. I've done some work with Woody and Klein, who are the big YouTubers. They do TV stuff because it has got credibility.
Yeah.
And that's what brings a lot of their sponsors to the party. So at the moment, they work with M&S.
Yeah,
Marks and
Spencer's.
And Marks and Spencer's, and they do the...
We've got a big international audience. They are... Just explain who they are.
They
make incredibly lovely food.
Oh, don't
100 plus years old retailer in the UK.
If you ever get James Sinclair talking about the blueberries out of M&S, be prepared to lose half an hour of your life.
Best blueberries on the planet.
There you go. That's the short version of that conversation. But M&S sponsor England football.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got the Euros coming up in June. So now they're starting to ramp their content up.
Yeah.
And Woody and Klein do online pieces of coverage for M&S, but that deal came through doing the offshoot of Bake Off, I think it was. So they leveraged the old school legacy media and bring them into the new form.
So why is Netflix such a powerful platform? What are they doing that the BBC are not doing?
Well, it's instant on demand.
But the BBC, you can do that.
You can have what you want when you want.
You can have the BBC app. You can have whatever you want whenever you want it.
I think Netflix was the first platform that encouraged, if not created, instant binge consumption of content. So
putting the whole series on in one go.
So whereas...
Do you think it was because they were first, that's what's keeping them there?
I think so, yeah. First to market, first to mind.
Shall I tell you, I still think...
Amazon Prime didn't do that, by the way. Amazon Prime would still drip it out week after week after week. So when they signed like Clarkson and that gang, for the first few series, it was, tune in at Tuesday at, drops at midnight on a Tuesday or whatever. But then now they do the binge thing as well.
Do you know what I think the terrestrial old school channels, platforms still haven't done well?
Go on.
I still find all of their apps too hard to use.
Yeah.
Like Netflix and Disney Plus are so easy to use.
Yeah.
And I think that's still one of their...
Yeah.
And that's, I suppose, the big message for business owners. Like, you've got to stop the friction. Stop putting
Yeah, very
unnecessary rules in. And
Yeah.
I think that's what the
But iPlayer, for example,
BBC want
give
you
us
to
your
put in.
email address. Have you
Yeah.
got a license?
What postcode you're in?
Yeah.
Oh, bore off.
Yeah.
Yeah, bore off.
Whereas
Netflix.
you get an Apple
Boom.
device, you put the Apple TV in the back of the TV, you're
Yeah.
off. You've
Yeah.
got Wi-Fi
Yeah.
and an Apple TV device, you're off to the races, aren't you? Yeah, very true.
Do you think it is that ease of software that can, it's that back of mind thinking? Because BBC do make some great shows.
It makes some amazing shows, yeah, but it's harder to get to them, isn't it? It is harder to get to them. And then I think they've got to, I think that binge thing, whereas a lot of traditional mediums would probably look at it and go, well, hang on a second, we've spent 10 million quid making this thing. We want to make sure that we can aggregate the cost over 8 weeks of good, consistent content. And you can see it working with, like Gladiators was there. BBC had a massive smash hit with that. Like it done really well from an audience figures perspective. It got loads of social reach and all the rest of it. We talked about social reach versus terrestrial sort of watching before on the podcast. So I can understand like dripping that out over a season. But the other stuff, the streamers are not afraid to go, here's 10 episodes, watch it all in one night if you want, because we know full well that you'll come back for some more stuff. Whereas the traditional...
I think, do you know what? I think you just hit on something else there. So much choice. I don't think BBC iPlayer has as much choice as Netflix. It doesn't feel like that.
No,
it
wouldn't anymore. But I suppose the BBC have got to also to be very careful about their remit within broadcasting, because they've got a public service remit, which is why their programming is slightly unorthodox, as is Channel 4, because Channel 4 have got a certain element of theirs is publicly funded broadcasting. I think they're 25% owned by the British taxpayer, effectively. Whereas like ITV, and again, if you look at it, what's the worst app? Probably iPlayer. What's the second worst app? Probably all four, both publicly funded. What's really good? ITVX, the new ITV player, looks like a Netflix.
Does it? Have you looked at it?
It's much, much better.
Cool. Okay. Well, I thought I'd just mention that. What does everyone think
If an
at home?
opportunity came up to buy a TV station, would you buy it?
Oh, I'd definitely have a look.
Would you? Yeah, of course you would.
Ego would take over, wouldn't it? You would definitely have a little butcher's hook on that. Because there's a lot of talented people that work there.
Yeah.
And I would be looking at brand, how could I improve it? How could I remove all the stupid rules that legacy brands put on themselves?
Tell you what is interesting, legacy media people are definitely looking towards new formats moving forward.
You know, you've been in a meeting with me on that, haven't you?
Yeah, and
also, even independently.
I had somebody come in who was one of the assistant producers on Bake Off, applied for a job with us as a podcast producer. And I was like, why do you want to come and work in a podcast agency in Ilford? I mean, we're very good at what we do, by the way. If you like this content, come and check us out. But I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And he said, everyone in TV is absolutely bricking it, because they can see the writing is on the wall, and the wall is like 1 foot away from their face now. And everyone who's probably under 40, who's not already like entrenched in that marketplace, they are now looking at, can they go to streamers? Can they go to podcasts? Look at what Bartlett's done with the podcast network thing that he launched a couple of weeks ago. Now a lot of, like established mediums like radio going, well, bloody hell, this really is going to take a bit of our lunch here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. If you've got any views on this little conversation we're having, please hit them in the comments. JB and I love to read them. In fact, some people have been saying some lovely stuff in the YouTube comments.
Some lovely stuff.
Read some out, JB.
Right, okay. Who was this one? This one's from Dove and Leah. Dove and Leah 259 10 days ago said, keep the waffle, it makes it interesting, and not just the facts and figures. Better also say the facts and figures is also interesting and very informative. And then we had somebody else. This was really interesting. There was a debate. A debate started raging on YouTube. Someone said, Sam Healy said, is that a real background or a green screen? Lol.
Oh,
Jeff Head said it's a green screen. Here you go.
Here, look.
Here's proof. It's actually... Here it goes. It's real. It's real. If you enjoy watching a multimillionaire skip around a roller skating rink after a massive curry, just DM the word curry and we'll make him do it again.
There we go.
Do you know what he also does here? This is a top secret, to get himself in the zone, because he's always cold, this guy. He's very warm-hearted, but very cold-blooded. He comes in and he starts doing these weird press-up things. And he does like a weird skip where his back leg skips around the side.
Yeah, just to warm up.
He looks like a very Camp Morris dancer.
Thank you very much. This one, I love this from Trevor Cowley. We did a video, a podcast a couple of weeks ago, but probably 10 podcasts ago by the time this one comes out. A $6,000 a month waste cleaning business. It's the latest comment. I thought I've got to read this out. We was impressed by him because he knocks on doors every day.
That's right. Yes, I love that guy. Yeah.
So Trevor Cowley's just put, I knock on prospects' doors every day, and they're all larger businesses. I have a success rate of north of 80%, which turn into customers. Let me know if you want to know how I do it. ?
Oh, I like that.
Oh, yeah, tell us how you do it in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. Or is that like an upsell? Has he got a course?
Yes.
Door Knocker Daily podcast.
But you'll like this bit. P.S. JB, that bit you were mimicking JS talking to the door knocker, 45.20, had me in stitches. So funny.
So my impression of you has been getting better, to be fair.
If things go wrong with you and Hayley, that's your wife.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of men or women that would be interested in you.
Yeah, there you go. You know, never turn down a free lunch. That's what I'm saying. You never know.
There we go.
Right.
Shall we talk about our guest today?
Yeah, we should do after 17 minutes of waffle, but we're allowed to because they like it on YouTube, so that's fine. So our guest today is Will Ashcroft from Ashcroft and Langton. He's been trading for 0 to 3 years, and he's got an estimated monthly...
What does Anne Langton mean? Is there a partner in this?
Ashton Langton. No, I think it just sounds fancy, doesn't it?
Okay.
Sounds like a solicitor.
You're just assuming that because we're going to find out.
No, I'm assuming.
Yeah, okay.
It sounds like where there's a blame, there's a claim company.
Yeah, okay.
Have you got slapped round the face? Call Ashton Langton now. No win, no fee. But that's not what he does. Do those exist anymore? No win, no fee. Do you remember them when they were absolutely rife, weren't they? Like 10 years ago.
No, they still exist.
Do they?
And what's he doing a month in revenue?
He's doing 3K a month, and he has got some team members. Yes, he has. He hasn't told us how many.
Challenges?
Challenge number 1: growing a team around me who believe in my vision and want to help me achieve it. Oh, I like that. That's a nice challenge to have, isn't it?
Yeah. Second one?
Challenge 2: folding into existing empire. He's swallowed the James Sinclair playbook here, isn't he?
Good, smart.
Folding into existing empire, turning what I'm doing, gardening and landscaping, which I find uninspiring, into a cabin building company, timber construction company, and garden centre. That feeds in nicely, didn't it? I knew you'd like that. Mention a garden centre and Sinclair's happy.
Yeah.
Challenge 3: cash flow. Need more repeat business. I'm disorganised. Can I just say, what would you do? James has just written, I love you, JB.
I just thought, what could I write to take you away from your flow because she was doing so well.
Yes. Challenge number 3: cash flow. Need more repeat business. And he said to me in the pre-chat chat, he's got a number of residential clients, but he's got one big corporate client, and he wants to get more of them on board. Where does he want to be in one more year? Building his first cabin, full diary of commercial and residential clients for gardening and landscaping services, and he wants to own his own premises. We always ask people, what does the business look like when it's finished? And he said design and construction. So he's using what you class as the entrepreneur's pyramid here. He's on tier 1, step 1, day 1, but he knows where he's going, this guy.
How old is he?
I don't know. I'm going to get... he's just come out of uni. I reckon he's 20... I reckon he took a gap year. He looks like one of the people that went to Bali and found himself. I reckon he's 24. 24. We'll find out in a minute.
I think he's younger than that.
Do you reckon?
I think he's 22.
Okay, fine. We'll find out in a minute. He's probably shouting at the screen now, but he's on mute, so I can't hear him. We'll find out in a second. What does the business look like when it's finished? Design and construction, a bespoke timber construction company building low-impact, affordable homes for families who want to get out of the city and onto the property ladder, Airbnb and cabin retreats, glamping. A garden centre from which we run several commercial enterprises. He really has. I bet he's read all your books, watched all your YouTube channels.
The next thing, though, I think we got a good flavour there. I'm going to ask you the next question.
Okay.
Do you make the profit that you want to make? If so, what is it? And what did he say, JB?
Okay, this is where he might come unstuck.
Yeah.
He might come unstuck on the James Sinclair playbook here. No, I want to make 25k profit this year to reinvest into the business.
What's he living off? Baked beans?
Yeah. He lives in central London as well.
Central London.
You can't have a Wagamama a week for that sort of dough.
No. Why is he writing such a pitiful amount? That's less than minimum wage, isn't it?
It is.
And he wants to invest some of that 25k.
But he's probably, again, based on your playbook, he's probably taking wages and profit.
So
he's probably going, I'm allowing 100 grand for myself. That's what I reckon he's
Yeah,
saying.
fine.
I'm feeding you the line here, Will. This is the only way to save yourself. Day-to-day in the business, he has just moved from being on the ground to being half at home, getting clients and running the accounts, which he is doing. So he's brought in some other people. So now he's not literally on the tools. He's trying to get some other new clients in at the same time.
And he's got some questions to ask.
And he has got some questions. So I think we might get a summary, a flavour of the business, and then maybe because he is a BYT, a bright young thing, get him to ask you the questions.
What, at the start?
Yeah.
And what, then answer the questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? We'll mix it up. Let's see how he does, shall we?
Is there anything else that we need to say to our viewer and our listener?
If it's before the 10th of June, buy a ticket for the live event. If it's after, forget it, you missed it. Unlucky.
Can I just say, for anyone that's watching on YouTube, I'm looking at all three cameras now just to make the edit really difficult.
Sam will be delighted.
I just want to say thank you to everyone watching and listening, because it's like 100,000 people a month tuning
That's a
in
lot, isn't it?
to listen to this tosh, which is impressive.
It is.
Netflix, you know where to find us.
Imagine if they did, though. I reckon it's not the worst thing that they've invested in.
Hey gang, we're going back to the pod in just a moment, but I wanted to tell you about Entrepreneurs University. This is a platform that I've created for entrepreneurs and business owners that are serious about growth. There's 100 video lessons from me on everything in business, raising finance, buying companies, property investment, and everything in between. Attached to each video is a downloadable PDF that goes into more detail about what we've learned in the video. It goes one step further than that, because I've also put stuff that you won't get anywhere else onto Entrepreneurs University. The lessons go into way more detail, but not just that. You're going to get my business plans, my spreadsheets, and all the files that I use to drive the KPIs in my business. Just think about how powerful that could be for your business. And here's the good news. You can try Entrepreneurs University for free. 14-day free trial. After that, it will cost you just $49.99 a month. That's less than a pair of Nikes to grow the profitability in your business. There's a link in the video description, and I cannot wait to see you in Entrepreneurs University.
Should we get him on?
Yeah, let's get him on.
Hey, Will, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Awesome stuff. First and foremost, how old are you?
Yeah.
Oh, so actually I'm 27.
Oh.
I spent a few years working as a charity fundraiser where I learned some really good sales techniques, like your man from the bin cleaning company. That was good for me. And then I did also music for a few years, and I went to uni a bit late. So I've just kind of started my first business in the last 6 months.
Well, just stop you there. So what did they teach you in the charity sector that's made you, what was the big skill set?
It's a hard sell. I mean, so chugging on the street where you're convincing someone who's got no interest in, for instance, homelessness or, environmental issues to give you 10, 15 pounds a month. I was really good at that.
Oh, and, so you're a charity mugger. You're one of those guys with a clipboard.
What is really good, I think, because people will be interested in that, like I'm interested.
Yeah.
So you'd stand out all day, and how many DDs forms would you get signed up?
Gosh, it depends. I mean, I was very good at it, to be fair.
So what's very good?
I think the on target was like 1 a day or 2 a day or something like that. But, consistently, I think if you're getting like 2 or 3 or 4 or more, you're doing really well. But
how many were you doing, Will? Come on.
Gosh, I was doing like 3, 4, 5.
That's good going.
Well, I think that is amazing. So you'd stand in a high street.
That is going to be the hardest job going, isn't it?
And you'd go up to just a random person. Are you interested in the environment? Would you like to sign up to £15 a month on a direct debit? And that's basically the gig you would. And you were trained to do that, to deal with rejection, was you?
That's right, yeah.
Did they give you any tactics and techniques to get people to stop?
Yeah, you sort of try anything and everything, really.
But what would you do if you see someone like walk along? Because I see it all the time these days. So I work in Ilford in East London. They've always got the charity people out on the streets. And like most people, as soon as they see them lot, there's all of a sudden the most interesting thing in the world is now on their phone.
Yeah, and you can see them crossing the road from about 250 meters away. It's to be honest, the best way to do it was like the least pushy. And if you didn't care whether or not they said yes or no or stop with you, if you're not desperate, people don't really, feel that kind of talking for 5 minutes and talking to you, So
what sort of training did they give you?
they trained us up for about 2 weeks. Sorry, no, about 5 days. There was there was a high turnover of staff, as you can imagine. So they just basically put us through this training, told us the facts and figures we needed to tell the public, gave us a few little tricks up our sleeves when the potential customer was kind of backing out of the deal, all this different kind of stuff. So there was all these different kind of things that we kind of had in our pitch. There was a lot of emotion. There's kind of an emotional appeal as well, asking questions, establishing the information about the potential client, so there was a lot of different things that went into it. But I just found just being personable and not desperate, but also, knowing what you were talking about was really effective.
I just find it. And then did they give you the facts on how long people would stay signed up for DDs?
Yeah, so there was.
This is what gets me.
That was part of the metrics that they kind of I think there was generally maybe 6 months was about the kind of average, or that was considered quite good.
So it's a £15 a month. Could they sign up to any amount they like, or was it only 15?
You'd always try to get them to go a bit more, but I think on average, I think at the time it was about tenner, something like that. £10. They could probably give £5 if they really, really.
So 60. So you would get £60 out of them.
60 to 90 quid, isn't it, as a lifetime?
Yeah.
What were they paying you a day to be out there?
That's the thing. That's why I left the industry. I was like, hang on a sec, you're paying us. So at the time, I think it was £11 an hour.
Wow.
You're paying us £11 an hour to get ideally 2 sign-ups a day, and that's an average of 60 quid or whatever, 120 quid if they do a year, right? Tenner a month, or 2 people for 6 months. And I kind of figured out that they were spending more money on the labor than they were on actually getting sign-ups. So that kind of led to a certain level of, what are we doing here then,
Well, because there will be some lifers that they would get out of it.
Right, okay. And maybe some bigger donors.
Yeah, I mean, there will be some, I mean, there will be, I mean, like my wife has signed up to a couple of animal charities and has been forever.
Yeah.
And will be forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the average, yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, what a skill set. I mean, if you can do that, I mean, amazing. We never, just on our Netflix chat, what does it cost to make The Gentleman? I just realised that. We never revealed.
22 million.
An episode or?
No, total.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the answer to that if you was listening at the beginning of the podcast. Okay, right. So now into your business. So you do £3,000.
Sorry, the average donor, a value of a donor is £260 per year. So that's why they can afford to pay you 88 quid a day, because they know that they're basically making a 6% margin, but that's gross, isn't it? Without all of the cost of everything else.
If he's signing up 5 people a day,
he's killing it. He's doing 1,000 quid a day.
Well, yeah.
That's why they call him 1K Will.
Not every day. I don't want to be too cocky.
Come on, Will. Don't be coy.
But it's taught you how to do selling. I mean, that sort of selling is amazing. Yes. Okay, so you're doing a little over £3,000 a month right now. You got team members.
Yeah, sometimes it's more. Sometimes 3K. I mean, I've done it for 6 months full time. I was studying.
We're not the turnover police. We're just asking a general overview here, William.
William, don't call him William. That will put him into a corner. Kids, people who've got a shorter name, they only get called the full name if they're in trouble. So either the police, a teacher, or your mum, isn't it?
And then I think you was going to do the questions first, and then we'll answer them, JB. If JB's going to read them out, and then you intervene, William, if you'd like to.
Thanks.
Right, so I thought we'd flip the format on its head today. So you asked Jimbo some questions. Number 1, how do you stick with a current business and get it over the line, even if it's not your main passion? How do you stay motivated?
Right. Let's break that, because that's 6 questions.
Timber frames.
6 questions in one there.
One part at a time. How do you stick with one current business and get that one over the line?
Well, the difference between, and I have said this on the podcast many times, It's E plus M equals S, which is
Entrepreneurship plus management equals success.
JB knows it all. And the way that if you cannot afford management and a team to run the next thing, then you should not diversify.
Oh, that's a good rule.
Yes.
Say that again for clip purposes for
If
Stevie.
you cannot if you cannot afford a management team to take over new ventures that are better than you should not diversify. Because it's management teams that allow you to, ride many horses.
Ride many horses? What's a weird analogy?
Well, you should be a jockey on one horse, shouldn't you?
Okay, fine.
So if you
You're
want to
riding
ride
that
multiple
analogy.
horses, you need more jockeys.
So that I think is a really interesting point, because I think so many people will see your content, Jim, and they'll be like, "Oh, he does so much stuff," but that's because you've got one person who's the point person of each of those things. They don't work accidentally. You have got 3 direct reports that have got 6 under them, that have got 12 under them, that have got 24 under them.
And I'm prepared to not pay myself the first 5 years of us starting something else.
Yeah, but pay everybody else. You're comfortable with that?
Yep. So everyone's earning, but me.
Mm.
Do you know
So
what
does that mean that are you saying that you've got to make the first thing that you do? Because this is my first business, right?
Yeah.
And I love it. I do love doing it. I kind of fell into it, I suppose like you've got to get it to a point where it's profitable enough for you to then go and afford to go and do, find someone to help you to run a new venture.
Yeah. So that you put a manager in the first business to run it day to day that's better than you, that's more skilled than you. Probably will be frustrating that they'll be paid more than you in the early days, but that's usually the story that most entrepreneurs and business owners face. They're paying people more expensive than them, but the real value in building a business is the ownership over the value of the business. And that can be quite frustrating for entrepreneurs to get their head around. Well, I'm going to pay someone but not pay myself. That's going to wipe out all my profit if I pay someone else. But yeah, that's the game here.
So Will told me in the pre-chat chat that he's now diversified in terms of not just doing the sort of the landscaping and the gardening stuff, but he's also folded in some other stuff already. So things like patio or driveway cleaning. Are you comfortable with your E plus M equals S analogy, because he's still doing
similar,
the thing?
isn't it? Yeah,
so it's just extended the offering to the client.
Yeah, that's all swapping time for money stuff, isn't it?
Which is, but you do that into the point you could afford that M in your analogy there.
Yeah, I think without having enough time to really understand what he's up to, I think that's okay. It's when you. Like if you was going to set up the garden centre, you want a manager for the services business, and then you go and manage the garden centre, run it for a year, understand it, then put a manager in there.
Right.
So really, your role should become the chairman of the shareholder of the business, with effective management teams running the business.
But you're happy for him to add on additional services within the services business and run that until he can afford I think you will just carry on doing what you're doing, learning the ropes. You obviously want to work hard, you want to achieve. I think you'll find all these swapping time for money, gig economy stuff that you're doing right now will not be where you end up, because they're tough.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
they're tough for people that are ambitious.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I enjoy it for now, but I've got so many other things in my head that I want to do now, but I've kind of got to get to the point where we've got enough repeat custom and like corporate commercial clients where I can basically just employ a team of people to go around in 1 or 2 vans and do all of the work. And then maybe my premises to set up a little, garden center / whatever, that's the kind of, just how do you deal with the impatience though? It's kind of,
well, you're doing the right stuff, because I think there's some work that you've got to do, because in the pre-notes to the podcast, like where you said next year I'd like to make 25 grand. Well, that ain't enough, is it, to fulfill your ambitions? And
no.
That's always telling, and that's why we ask those guys. If you said next year I want to make £500,000, then your brain is forced to think bigger, because it's got to make £500,000. To make 25 grand, I would just advise you to stay in the gig economy. I mean, it's so bloody easy to do. You don't even really need to come on this podcast. You asking to build a business that's profitable to the effect of the lowest paid employees in this country.
I think that's, that profit is the kind of minimum that I'd want to be investing into.
Will, stop saying
into
it. Like, you've got to get that small-mindedness out of your brain. You've got to think bigger. You don't want to be running a business to make 25 grand. You've got all the risks of building a business, all the risks of, being master of your own destiny, and you're writing and committing to paper that you want to make a 25 grand profit. I mean, you got to pay yourself out of that. You're never going to have any money to invest.
Plus the salary though. That was the reasoning behind it.
And what is the salary?
I mean, 75k, something like, I think that's realistic in this year.
Okay, well, good. Just think bigger though.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't want you're building a business to sell, even if you have no intention of selling it. That should be ingrained in your brain, because it will make you make better decisions. You're building a business to sell, even if you have no intention of selling it. And I can hear it in your language when you said, I just want a little garden centre. No, you don't. You want the biggest possible garden centre that you can buy.
Yeah, it's true. I do. I think it's fear, isn't it? It's like you think, I really would love to do that, but what if it all goes wrong and blah, blah, blah. So I've got to limit my dream.
You can have a small garden centre that goes wrong or a big garden centre that goes wrong. What story is better to tell?
That's true.
Second question that you had, Will, which sort of feeds into question number one, was how do you find the right team members and then keep them?
That's a very good question. How do you find the right team members? Well, good people want to work for good people. That's the ultimate sort of rule of thumb. The better you become, the better the employees you will have. Period. I mean, I could not summarize it any better. You attract what you become. Like if you're a good person, good people want to be around you. If you're a smart person, smart people want to be around you. If you're motivated, motivated people want to be around you. And you have to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And there are multiple ways of doing it. And the problem that you're having, all your small-minded thinking that is just ingrained in the way you write and the things that you're saying, and I've already picked that up on this 7-minute conversation, you're going to start attracting that. So you're 27, you're a young, bright thing, you've got bags of potential. You've got to start, repurposing your language that you talk to yourself, that inner voice, and sort that out. You're not building a business to be making 25 grand a year. You want to say, I want to make £1 million business. And there's a number of reasons that I'm saying this, because think about who you will become building £1 million profitable business. Forget the money. Just put the money to one side. Think about who you will become building £1 million profitable business or a £10 million profitable business. Think of the skill sets that you're going to have to harness. Think of the power that your brain is going to have to go to the next level. Think of the people you'll attract into your life by becoming that person. That's a beautiful thing. That's a nice clip.
Most definitely.
That's a lovely clip. And actually, to
JB, sorry about this, Will. JB's got to stop live editing our podcast.
So I'm doing it here. I've already got 3 clips you can turn into micro pieces of content. There's also the third question feeds into the other questions and actually comes back to your point about Will's psychology, because the third question was, how could I start buying small businesses with no money, seller finance?
Well, you don't want to buy small businesses because they're the ones that are the problem. You want to buy stuff that's £1 million plus revenue, that's run under management, that folds into your existing empire, that's preferably location based. See, the thing is with small businesses, they're not usually location based. They usually don't have any employees, and they have a small amount of revenue that could easily be lost. So, I just think thinking bigger gives you a distinct advantage. We must have said this every bloody episode of this podcast, or it certainly comes up every other one. Thinking bigger definitely gives you a distinct advantage. And it's easier, mate. I promise you will. Like if you're going to go and buy a pressure washer company, that I think it's one of the trades that you wanted to flirt with. I don't know, what's that? It's going to be 50 grand. They're going to have a van and a pressure washer and a list of rounds. You know, who's to say that they're going to get you to pressure wash their drive? They might only want that done every 4 years. But if you go and buy a garden centre that's 5 million turnover, it's got a freehold property, and you go to them and say, look, I'm really ambitious. Can I rent this off of you with an option to buy it in 3 years' time? And I've had loads of conversations like that over my career, and they absolutely work. If someone sees that you're a ambitious, honourable, powerful, decisive person, you'll get stuff over the line.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like until you've done it, until you've taken a big risk like that, there's a lot of
but you don't want to take big risks, do you? You want to take small risks.
No, the thing is, I do want to take big risks. That's the thing. I definitely do.
Well, maybe you should stop saying big risk and start talking in calculated risk.
Right. Okay.
It's because you've never done it. You fear it because you don't understand it. You just got to knowledge up. That's once it's like anyone. Like the first time a solicitor gets qualified and has to go to court, I'm sure they're pooing their pants. But once they've done it 10 times, they go, actually, this is starting to get easier. That's 10,000 hours of practice in anything takes mastery. But who are you surrounding yourself by? Who is your network of people that you can lean on? Like if you have these desires and you sat next to me for a year, you'd soon realise that actually most of the problems people have is built up in their mind.
Do you know another thing that I think people don't do enough of, and you've said it a couple of times in recent episodes, I'm like, actually, I think that would put the fear out of people, is going and taking that first step.
Yeah,
go and see a garden centre, go and have a look. Because I remember when I looked at buying a buy-to-let property and all the theory of it, I was like, I could do this, that and the other. And you're really, really scared. Then you go out and it's just an estate agent. It's just a pile of bricks.
But see, that's the thing. Buy-to-let property is a great little segue here. You will not get James Sinclair buying a buy-to-let house or property because it's just too small fry. Pitiful returns, waste of my time. I want to have a little flat in London because I'm in London quite a bit, and I just love being up there. I was thinking, and then I don't want a little flat in London. I'm going to look to buy a hotel in London, and then I won't have to pay for the flat, and then I can just stay at the hotel when I'm up there. And so, what's the first step? Is I go on Google and I look for hotels for sale. The next step would be to ring the agent and say, I'd like to have a look around these hotels. And if I didn't have the money, the third stage would be I go, I've already got a hotel. I bought one last year. I've done really well with it. Can I lease this off of you for 3 years and have a little option agreement to buy it? What are you making? Are you making 50 grand a year out of it at the moment? I'll give you 100 grand a year rent. So you're doubling your money, and then I'll buy it off you in 3 years' time. Look at all the other things that I've done. And then what William will say to me is, well, it's all right for you, James. You bought your first hotel last year, so you can hang your hat on that. But I didn't have a hotel last year. I'd done a similar deal like that when I bought that hotel, but I could say, well, I'd done these other businesses. But when I tended to buy Marsh Farm, I didn't own any other visitor attractions. I was a clown. I was a kids entertainer that started with the play centre. And so I could hang my hat to Essex County Council, I bought it off of, and said, look, I'd done a really successful play centre. I had a really fantastic children's entertainment agency. I could put all of that into the farm. You go through the steps
and use these smaller businesses to upsell.
And when
the big
people
ones.
see someone that's honourable, that's ambition, people just buy into it.
So you reckon, like, I could, in this current position, continue running my business and then go out and speak to some garden centres, some other bigger businesses, and say, look, this is what I want to do. Would you give me the opportunity to rent this?
I will tell you this, William. I will tell you this. I don't know the answer to that question, but I will tell you this. A man that can stand in a high street and get people to sign up for direct debits at £15 a month cold and get 5 people to say yes in a single day has considerable more power than the man that is on the phone to me thinks.
Yeah.
I mean, that is not something that I want to do. I mean, I wouldn't be jumping out of bed looking forward to doing that gig. But what I'm telling you now is you just don't know until you ask.
For sure.
If you can, picture the scene. It's November. It's raining. It's chilly.
In Croydon.
In Croydon.
Jesus, it gets worse. As if it couldn't get worse. He's in Croydon.
The last thing anyone wants to do is sign up to a direct debit.
5 people did that day.
And 5 people did that day.
Yeah.
So I reckon if you went and saw 25 garden centres, I think there's a high chance.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
One
the
of
thing
them,
is,
one of them will see a spark in you and do a deal with you. There's lots of baby boomers that have got businesses, especially in that space, that want to get out.
Yeah.
No, look, I'm not telling you this is easy, by the way. I'm not saying you can just trundle into a £5 million turnover business and go, oh, can I take over your business and give you all the money in 3 years' time and I'll keep all the cash? No, I don't think it's easy, but is it possible? Yes, it is. And is it something that I've done more than 10 times? Yes.
So can I just ask another question about let's say, you've got, go on. Let's say you've got other ideas that you want to pursue in the future. Let's say I wanted to have a garden centre which has got a cafe and then also a space for childcare or a day nursery, for instance, right? They're completely unrelated businesses, right? Do you think that that's something that can work provided that the infrastructure is used for all of these different businesses?
Do I think that's something that work? Yeah, because I can pretty much guarantee that James Sinclair will be doing what you've just said within the next 36 months.
Right.
But I am a man that's got 11 day nurseries. So that, I know what I'm doing in that space. I think garden centres are, I don't know because I've not run one yet, but I can see that they appeal to a wide age group and I like that. You've got 22-year-olds going there for dates. Families go in there and woofties well off over 50s go in there aplenty. You got coach trips. I think someone that knows how to market. They're location based. People, they're a cheap day out for people just to trundle around for a couple of hours. I like them as business models, but I wouldn't want a small one. I'd be thinking bigger and thinking, how can I have something of substance?
For sure.
But not all of them make money, and I've done a lot of research into them. Some of them, retail's tough, and I wouldn't be doing it for the retail. I'd be doing it for the bolt-on, add-on other stuff. Retail is very tough. Even Tesco owned a big chain of garden centres, and last time I checked, they're all right at retail, and they sold them all off. And there would only be one reason that Tesco sells something off. It won't be as easy as you think.
So in that instance,
what would you bolt on to a garden centre?
Well, I would look at it first as an attraction business. So maybe I'd put an adventure golf course in there, an indoor play centre. I would probably sublet areas so you've got strong rental income coming in there. I would be doing lots of events there, making it the number one place to go for Christmas. Maybe a sunflower field, a tulip festival, it's stuff all. So it's an events business that does retail, not a retail business that does events. Yeah,
that's great.
And would you be looking at retail to break even then? Do you just need it to wash its face and then the other stuff makes the profits?
Come on. Even we speak about one of my favourite companies all the time. What am I going to say?
Costco.
70% of their profits come from their membership fees.
Yeah.
And I think the reason people go to Costco is because it's a leisure activity. I mean, I like going there, and I can't work out why I do. I've never, I'm going to Sainsbury's today. Whoop whoop. That's never happened.
Yeah.
I know that I get endorphins about going into.
Do you really?
And I think a lot of people do. I don't know what they've done. It's big, it's different. There's big TVs, very giant fridges. What's the offer going to be? There's not going to be there the next time that I go. There's always a sense of surprise. And I think they've done that. And I think garden centres do similar. But Costco turning their stock 12.5 times a year. I would say a garden centre turn their stock 3 times a year. So you're going to be, most of your profit will sit in stock.
You see, the way that I see a garden centre is like a hub to sell other things as well. So the gardening company I plan to keep going and to build into a large scale gardening company, in London and the southeast. But to have a garden centre would be a place where people could go and see, for instance, the cabins, like garden rooms.
Yeah, for all of that, yeah.
A place where people could,
like a showroom thing.
Wedding. Exactly. Yeah. And the margin on plants is quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, but you got to keep them alive.
That's
and
true.
you've got to have someone good that knows how to keep them alive, because
it's quite a labour-intensive stock as well, isn't it? It's not just tins of beans on a shelf, is it?
They do die. An 18-year-old Sally, like that you might have just employed out of college, might overwater them, might underwater them. So you got to have good people. That is it too hot? Is it too cold? So anyone that runs garden centres will tell you that. And
can I ask a question about labour costs? Because obviously gardening, landscaping, construction is very labour intensive, right?
Yeah.
And to get good people to come and work for you, you do have to pay them, an okay wage, an okay day rate. So in terms of the profit margin that I can make on these kind of smaller jobs, or even the jobs, what would you suggest for basically maximising my profit margin on all of them?
Well, I think you'll realise that you're in a business that's very low barrier to entry, and you'll be competing in a marketplace. So you might want your profit margins to be X, Y, Z, whatever I've decided, but the marketplace will dictate whether you're allowed to charge that. And that is why I always tell people, the higher barrier to entry you go, the more protection you have and the right prices you can charge. Like if you want to retail anything on the internet, the marketplace, you might say, well, I want a 100% margin, but the marketplace might go, well, no, because I can buy it on Amazon for a 15% margin and it's the exact same thing. So you might want what you want, but the marketplace will dictate on what you can charge for it. Now, yes, if you've got brand and establishment and you're proven, you might be able to charge a bit more than anyone else, and people will be prepared to pay for it because they know that you'll do a good job. But usually that takes decades to, build that. Would I be prepared to pay an extra 5% to buy something off of John Lewis over an unbranded retailer? Yes, I would, because I know that if it goes wrong, John Lewis will look after me. But only to a point.
Yeah. And in terms of if you were going to start a business now, because I've, in terms of side hustles or things that I could put into to increase my, just cash flow generally, if I was going to pick something that's kind of related or even unrelated, I know you spoke about doing importing things from the Far East and then selling them in schools and things like that. Do you think that's something that I could at this point start doing, or should I just focus on scaling my current business?
Well, I would be trying to buy a business that.
Right.
That's what I'd be trying to do. Like, I'll try and find a $1 million+ turnover business to buy.
Okay.
And then you've got loads more cash flow coming in. If you could buy a garden centre that's 1, 2, 3 million turnover. But I think you probably need to work on yourself first of all, because I think there's a bit too much small-mindedness. I think you should read the book The Art of Thinking Big, and I think you should read How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. I think you should read all my books. I think then you've got to force your brain into better thinking. That's really the first stage for you, my friend. I think you're a bit of an oxymoron, because part of me thinks, well, he does want it. And then you say the language you use detracts you. Because you're asking me, how can I do it? How can I do it? You're like asking, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it. And then you back it up with small-minded thinking.
I think there's a bit of a reps and sets thing here. I think you just need a bit of time in the game. You've only been doing it 3 months. I think you just crack on as you are for a year, and then assess yourself again, and just, like Jim's saying, pour into yourself constantly every day. Work on yourself, make it instead of your side hustle should be your mind.
Yes.
At the moment, that's kind of it for the time being. Don't look at drop shipping, flipping, Airbnb, blah blah blah. Like, you are your side project. When you're not out digging holes in gardens, be filling your mind. Oh, that's a good analogy, isn't it?
Yeah, you really is. That is the first stage for you. Like, you've got to I'd love you to find like a multi-millionaire in your family that you know, or a friend of your family that you can just go and have coffees with once a month. If you could find that person.
For sure.
I've got a mate who runs a landscaping company, and he took it over from his mum, who sadly got dementia. They had a good little local business. They've been running it for sort of 20, 25 years, and they'd done all right. They lived in a nice house in southeast London, but he's absolutely taken it to the next level. His background was fashion PR, so this sort of like super camp fashion PR guy ended up working in landscaping, and he just bought all of that beautiful stuff that he knew about fashion PR, and he's like, darling, we're going into eco lighting. He's like, what? And that now the brand, the vans, the way they've scaled up their showroom, all that stuff. So I'll put you in touch. Check him out. It's Willow Alexander is the name of the company, I believe.
Yeah, and a good friend of mine, and JB knows him, Jamie Martin, literally was a landscape gardener doing trees.
Oh, he was.
That's what he was, a landscape gardener. Then he specialised in trees.
Tree surgery.
Which tree surgery makes, you know, is more specialist, more niche. You can charge a lot more because...
He done that for 35 years, didn't he?
And he sold his business for a few million when he was 28.
Yeah.
Sold his business £2.5 million at 28, cutting down trees. Ruskins was his firm.
Oh, was it?
Big threat. He'd done all the local authority work.
I remember you used to see their trucks knocking about.
Yeah,
when I was a kid.
it was. And then they mucked it up and he bought it back again.
Oh, did he?
Sold it again.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, look, your medicine is brain. You've got to get that brain. How many books are you reading?
I'm reading.
Not enough.
Probably not enough. No, I'm not. I mean, I think it's about vision, isn't it? It's about clarifying what I really want and what I really want, and then just going for it. Really,
well,
you know.
No, yeah, but I think you should read How to Get Rich and The Art of Thinking Big. Get them to just even on audio, and keep watching. Watch all my. Have you sorry about that. Have you watched a lot of my main YouTube videos?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm obviously not doing a good enough job because I think you're thinking too small. I want you to think bigger. Because I think you are at the fact that someone asks tells me one thing. You know, like it's actually quite rare for someone to say, "No, I want to have this, I want to have that," but then you say, "I want to have this, I want to have this, but I want it to be so small." It's like it doesn't make sense. Like one end of the scale, and then you've got this amazing skill set that you can stand in Croydon High Street and ask people for money cold. I mean, I don't have that skill set. I do not. I'm not good at that.
I think being able to sell codes to people who don't want to be sold to is probably the number one skill on the planet.
Yeah.
If you can do that, everything else is easy. Everything else is easy.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. I think it's also partly like having so many ideas, so many things that I want to do, being like, where do I start, you know? And like, then that becomes a little bit of analysis by paralysis, to be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You've already started, though. You've started doing something. You're turning a quid. Do you know what? So many people never get off the sofa of ideas and actually go from putting pen to paper to actually putting a tool in their hand. Good on you for doing that, because so many people won't do it. And then you just got to feed into yourself, I reckon.
The sofa of ideas. I like that. Get off the sofa of ideas.
Oh, but they do, though, didn't they? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You're going to do, what's kind of aggressive. You're doing nothing. You do absolutely nothing.
Have we got any more questions?
I've got one more question for you,
right, go on then. Yeah, you read. You say, William.
All right. So the last question is basically, do you do it for the money, the lifestyle, or do you do it for the love of the game?
I know the answer to that one without you even thinking about it.
Probably the love of the game.
100%.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. For me, it's not about really making loads and loads of money. It's about creating something.
Oh, I know, but you can't play. If you're not making money, you can't play the game, my love.
True.
Oh, that's good.
Elon Musk is definitely doing it. Elon Musk is definitely doing it for the game, but he ain't flying to space unless he's making some money somewhere.
That's very true.
Yeah.
The fiscal firepower allows you to play the game.
Mm.
You've been full of good analogies today, James Sinclair. I'm going to rate you at the end a 9.5 out of 10. I like Will as well, but you've been on fire.
Because I've always been quite, if you just want to make money, it's quite an unfulfilling life. And if I just want to make money, you just do commercial property and I can liquidate everything. the good liquidation, like turn it back into cash and just buy copious amounts of commercial property, have amazing rents coming in.
You can make more money doing it that way, can you?
Loads, yeah. And then just be bored and feel completely useless.
Mm.
I want to be valuable. I want to give opportunity. And I don't mind saying that legacy is a lovely little ego thing to have.
Mm.
Yeah, when you go on, go, yeah, he done that and he done this and he sorted that out and he helped those people.
Mm.
You're on the right path, Will. You've just got to keep walking down it.
Yeah, for sure.
Where can people find out if those people of
one other little thing,
Croydon and surrounding counties?
Yeah, think of me, but it's finding the right business models
Yeah.
that are set up for profitability. And your stuff is just profitable jobs at the moment.
Yeah. So what can you think of just in the kind of related vicinity?
Do you want me to just take over your life?
Yeah, go on.
No, but you find, that, like, anyway, let's say you're running a restaurant. The restaurants are really tough, but there are some business model restaurants that are better. Those that have got 200 plus covers, if they own the building and they've got their rents under control and they're not too fancy with the meals and they're good value for money, they've got a higher chance of making money. For example,
really,
Nando's.
What you're saying to
Nando's.
me is
Let me just finish, Will. Like, if you see, Nando's are a very profitable business model. Not too expensive, but not too cheap. Multiple covers, and they've got brand behind them, good control over the costs, and they don't just start all of a sudden like a one-man restaurant go, let's put fillet steak on the menu and let's put sea bass on the menu. People know what they're going to get. It's a rinse and repeat model, and it's highly predictable. Back to you.
You're saying I need to find a location, really. I need to find...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just, I want you to be better first of all.
Yeah.
So B times do equals have. Work out what you want to have. And you want to build the best business for the sector that you're operating in, that's a profitable business model that you enjoy running and that you feel passionate about. Yeah. What have you got to become and what have you got to do to have that aim? At the moment, I don't think you've become, but I think you're on the path to becoming, and you just need to, you need good brain food, very simply.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with that.
You should not put podcasts, books. You should be going to as many seminars as you can get your grubby hands on with good people, including myself. You should be coming to all mine. Just putting it out there. But I think I'm still amazed. I've learned so much from going to seminars because it forces you into a full day of learning.
Yeah.
Accountants and solicitors go on, and teachers continually go on CPD stuff, continual professional development, to keep on sharpening their saw. I think business owners should be going to seminars every year, just keep pushing them up. If I go to a seminar I'm speaking at and I have a look at who the keynotes are before and after me, and I want to sit in and listen and say, come on, James, let's learn some stuff for you, Jimbo Sinclair, because I want to keep sharpening my saw too.
Yeah, definitely.
One
Why
of the
are you not
things,
into crypto?
I haven't got time for crypto. It's a load of old tosh. Because that to me is just making money, and that's probably why I don't do it.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to be fulfilled if I make £1 million profit from crypto. What have I done for the world? How have I made something here? If I make £1 million profit from an attraction that I've built that people are going to have memories, or from a day nursery that's helped kids in their first stages of life and allowed families to get on, that stuff really drives me. And who do you know that's really making lots of money from crypto? Seriously.
I'd say that there are some people who truly believe that when everything comes crashing down, which it might in the next few years, it'll be incredibly useful to be able to understand all of the different technology and processes that are behind.
Don't disagree with that, but it's whether people
Bitcoin.
make money on it. And do you know what? If governments are against it, which to me they seem like they are, very against it, how can you beat the government? I think it's very difficult to do because governments have police forces and armies and prisons and laws that they can control, and that's my issues with it.
Yeah, it's true. It will only truly be useful when it goes public, when, you know, local governments or, you know, federal governments start to actually use it, or, you know, issue.
But I think they'll just create their own then, won't they, and regulate it. They'll create Bitcoin or the US dollar coin or whatever.
Bitcoin.
You know, and they'll be government backed, and then
they're just doing it, aren't they?
I just don't like, you know, if I could summarise it, I don't believe, if like no real work has been put into the thing, how can it be of value?
Yeah.
You know, and the people that put in the real work has built supercomputers for all this mining palaver. You know, as much as I understand it, and I just think I wouldn't, like, my biggest fear is ever winning money or inheriting loads of money. I just think, well, I haven't created anything. I've been given it or I've won it. I'd feel a complete and utter phony. It's like the real, like, exercise. You know, I'm not someone like JB that likes exercising, but I've been forcing myself. You know, and I look in the mirror sometimes now and think I can see, you know, I can
abs.
Well, not abs, no, but I can see some changes. I can see my penis, for example. But I can start, you know, and I think, no, I've done that. You know, I've been putting in. I'm doing 4 1-hour PT sessions a week and a 5K run every week, and I can start seeing the results of my.
So you're calling it now, the
hard
results.
work, but my labour.
Oh, this podcast took a turn. Oh, I'm sweating now. I'm sweating. Right, Will, where can we find you if we want to come and get our gardens sorted, whether we're residential or commercial, my man?
So you can find me on Instagram. You can find me. I've got a website as well. It's Ashcroft Langton. I'm actually having a rebrand at the moment because I want to call myself. So on Instagram, it still is Ashcroft Langton. But if you look for Valley Gardens as well, that's where you can find us. And yeah, thank you very much.
Good stuff.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for being on the show, mate. All the best. We wish you very well.
And you. Bye-bye.
What a lovely fella.
I like him.
Nice guy. Very nice guy.
People don't read and feed their brain enough, do they?
Do you still read daily?
No. Should do. It'd be even better, wouldn't I?
Yeah. How often do you read? How much do you read?
Well, I'm learning every week. That much I can say. I mean, I consume a horrific amount of podcasts and audiobooks.
Accidental learning podcasts are, aren't they? I love that.
But I choose, like, I actually choose, I don't listen to any comedy. It's all business, entrepreneurship stuff. And I love stuff by people that have been there, done it, and got. That's why I love Business Movers, Business Wars, that Good Bad Billionaire from the BBC. Like, all of those are, you know, how people have done it, and you can always learn some great stuff.
Have you ever listened to How I Built This?
Yeah, but I didn't really like that one as much.
No.
That's a wondery one, isn't it?
No, he was an independent guy. He used to be at NPR. Very American.
Fine. I'm sure I have listened to it. Yeah, no, I have. But
it was good back in the day. I liked it. Anyway, do you know what you touched on saying there about the models? I think people need to build the fast casual dining of their sector. Not too expensive, not too cheap. Always got
I think it's
supply that
fulfilled,
outstrips
isn't it?
demand, or demand that outstrips supply.
I think that's already there, isn't it?
What?
Well, give me a sector and I'll tell you the...
Or gardening, for example. What's the fast casual of gardening?
Of dining?
No, fast casual. Yeah, but the mentality.
Sorry.
It's like the four companies. It's just metaphorical.
Everyone's going to eat some pansies.
No, not fast. No, I think you need to build in your sector. Think of what's fast casual in your space.
Nando's
of gardening.
Yeah,
the Nando's of. That'd be a better way of me phrasing it. So your area was me phrasing it.
I feel a response because that guy has obviously said garden sense, because I've said it a few times in content that I think now everyone wants to bloody out. And a lot of them still foul. You know, I'm just, you know, I like them. They're location based. I've got lots of experience in getting people to locations.
Yeah.
But I don't think every garden. I mean, I think there's a lot of garden centres that are teetering on the edge.
I think it'd be a very difficult sector.
Very difficult. Yeah.
Retail, you said, is difficult anyway, and
Yeah.
unlike lots
And
of
what
other
is it?
sectors,
He goes, well, it's good margin in plants if you can keep them alive.
exactly that.
And lots of them die, then that's all your margin gone, baby.
There's not many retail environments where 90% of your stock will die.
Yeah.
And you've got a shelf life. You know, why has food got so many fillers and horrible stuff in it on the shelves? Because Tesco's could put that can of beans on there for 18 months before it goes out of date. You've probably got, 18 days, for a window of flowers. You've got to really know your stuff, haven't you?
And one of what big business will do is they will have a view that they won't make money on something for a few years. I mean, you look at technology companies like PlayStation and Nintendo, like they're selling them consoles at losses and at cost
to get to buy the games for the next 5 years,
or to take market share. Yes, to that point, absolutely, they do that. That's what they call the Gillette business model. Gillette and the toothbrush business model, sell it cheaper, then you make all your money on the consumables going forward. But also these big companies like Sony, PlayStation, Nintendo, they will go, right, we'll sell these as really cheap to flood the market.
Yeah.
And can an entrepreneur really afford to do that in the early days of their delivery? And I don't know. And when they're bringing out new foods, they will give so much away. They'll just say, we'll give you marketing money, we'll give you free stock, just put it on the shelves, and we'll start making money in 24 months' time once we've, blitzed the marketplace. Pepsi, Coke, when they started out, you listen to any of the ways they built these businesses, just give loads of samples away, and then once people are hooked.
Yeah.
Hello?
And
we need to rate him.
Yeah, we do need to rate him.
So if you're tuning in,
you're getting very good at remembering the rating. I like this new podcast.
This is a new one, isn't
it? This is the techno remix of the rating.
Hopefully this is not the one that gets us kicked off monetization on YouTube, fingers crossed. Anyway, if you are tuning in for the first time, this is the section of the show we call the 8 Traits of the Greats. The reason why we call it that is because we rate great entrepreneurs on 8 things that we think make up great entrepreneurs. And we're going to rate our guest today, Will. James Sinclair. Take us through the 8 Traits of the Greats.
Number 1 is starting with the end in mind.
I think he does do that, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he wants to be bigger, doesn't he? But he doesn't actually know. I give him half a point. He is starting to think with the end in mind.
This is funky, isn't it?
Yeah, but he actually doesn't know what the end in mind actually is.
No, I think he started with the end in mind because he's watched some of your YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm still going to give him a point, though. Or did you say you're giving him half a point?
Half a point.
Oh, bloody hell.
Number 2, passionate about their cause.
He's passionate about... No, I don't think he is. No. Sorry, Will.
Number 3, untold amounts of resilience.
We didn't know that, did we? So I have to give him half a point.
Number 4, they master relationships. People, I actually think he's...
Oh, yeah. If you can flog
direct
debits on Croydon High Street.
1 point for that.
1 point for that one.
Number 5. Feel like we're in Beverly Hills Cop now. Yeah. Eddie Murphy's just going to walk in. Number 5 is commercial awareness.
No, he can't have that, can he?
Number 6, they innovate so they don't evaporate. I'll give him half a point because...
He's only 27. He's been doing it for 3 months, we can't say, can we? We'll give him half.
Number 7, master marketeer.
Nope.
No.
Can't have that.
Number 8, yeah, he gets that because he is staying teachable and curious.
1, 2, 3, 3.5. That's congratulations, Will. Scored 3.5. He is in. He's tying with Nick from Ginger. I'm saying Ginger Hazard. I don't think it was called Ginger Hazard, though, was it? He's also in 3.5 points with Alan Johnson, the coach. Just ahead of Sam from King's Garages, but just sneaking behind. Dave from Fast Fix. So there you go. There's the scoreboard that no one gives a toss about.
I am going to get it up here.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to sort it out.
That's the second reference you made to that sort of thing on this podcast. Now I'm going to get it up. I can't believe you.
There we go.
You're very good today. You're very good on today's podcast. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please feel free. This is the longest jingle ever. Bloody hell! I don't know how long is this going on for. I've only got 13 more seconds. If you've enjoyed today's episode of the podcast, then please feel free to rate, review and subscribe wherever you download your podcasts.
And if you'd like to come to one of our events, you can find out more at jamessinclair.net.
Should we end there? That was really good.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for watching today, gang. I hope you enjoyed the show. Now, look, we're looking for some great businesses to come on the podcast. If you've got challenges, but you're desperate to grow your business and you can't necessarily work out how to do it on your own, you'll be a perfect candidate to come here on the podcast. It's absolutely free to come on the show. Go to my website, jamessinclair.net, and there's a podcast button. Click on the podcast button, fill in the application form, and we'll do our very best to get you on the show and try and grow your business. If you're loving the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking here. And why not give this one a watch? I think you'll like it.